Watch Trump-hating Morning Joe crew panic over new deep state poll by truthfeednews.com. Following the results of a Monmouth poll regarding the existence of a deep state in America, the crew of MSNBC's Morning Joe was visibly shaken. Sorry about that. While discussing the recent poll, which indicated that 3/4 of all polled Americans believe that the deep state does exist, host Micah Brzezinski stated that attacks against the so-called deep state by the president and other Republicans might be taking hold. Micah went on to say that more Americans now believe that national policy is being manipulated or directed by a deep state. Jack Ralph here, his tweet, MSNBC's Morning Joe was in panic mode Tuesday after a Monmouth poll showed 3 out of 4 Americans believe in the existence of a deep state. Brzezinski and others have attempted to refute the results of the poll and have largely placed blame for recent criticism of the FBI and DOJ on both President Trump and Republicans. The term deep state refers to the possible existence of a group of unelected government and military officials who secretly manipulate or direct national policy. Do you think this type of deep state in the federal government definitely exists, probably does not exist, or definitely does not exist? Definitely 27%. I think it's much higher than this. Probably 47. Probably does not exist. 16. Definitely does not. 5%. And don't know. 5%. WikiLeaks poll. 74% of Americans now believe in the concept of the deep state, an unelected, manipulative security complex having undue influence over national policy. 53% of Americans are worried about it spying on them. The concern is bipartisan. Yeah, it's 75% of Americans. Let's take a quick listen. Micah Brzezinski voice shakes while discussing deep state polls.
And take a look at this, Susan. The attacks against the so-called deep state, especially in light of what David just said, by the president and some Republicans, actually might be taking hold. More Americans now believe that national policy is being manipulated or directed by a deep state. That according to the newest Monmouth University poll. 6 in 10 Americans believe that unelected or appointed government officials have too much influence in determining federal policy. 26% say the right balance of power exists between elected and unelected officials. While this view of the deep state looks to be growing more prevalent, only 13% of Americans are very familiar with the term, 24% are somewhat familiar, and 63% say they are not familiar. However, when Monmouth described the term as, quote, a group of unelected government and military officials who secretly manipulate or direct national policy, nearly 3 in 4 Americans said they believe that the deep state exists. 1 in 5 said it does not. Susan, what does that tell you, especially in light of the president's approach toward the intelligence community from the get-go?
You know, it's interesting. We don't have a lot of polling history on the deep state because this is not something I think we assumed we needed to poll about prior to President Trump's administration. I think this clearly shows the effect of his attacks on governmental.
Did you hear what she just said? Prior to President Trump, nobody knew about it. You see what I'm saying? Look right here.
I think this clearly shows the effect of his attacks on governmental institutions, on the government itself. You know, this is not to say that there's never anything to investigate.
No one's above the law.
That's right. Part of our tradition is a trust, not just in the government, a trust in the government to investigate itself at times.
Yeah, that was what they used to tell us, and that's what basically most of America believed in. Trust in the government and this and that. But people now are waking up to the fact of what's going on right here where she said it. I didn't even
polling history on the deep state, because this is not something I think we assumed we needed to poll about prior to President Trump's administration. I think this clearly shows the effect of his attacks on governmental institutions, on the government itself. You know, this is not to say that there's never anything to investigate.
No one's above the law.
That's right. Part of our tradition is a trust, not just in the government, a trust in the government to investigate itself at times. But this is, I think, a new phenomenon for Americans in modern times. For a majority of Americans to believe that there is a deep state, I think, is a shocking finding in this.
Oh, it's shocking, all right. Yeah, where everything is being recorded, everything is being manipulated. Of course, it's shocking because people have woken up to the corruption that's taking place. That's why everybody's waking up now. Even the liberal left kind of believes this now, if you're talking about 75% of the population, right? There's still a lot that are asleep, because 25% is still quite a bit of people that are still asleep. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.